Hello book nerds and welcome to Book Club. Man, it feels like forever since I did one of these, but we are in the year 2026. How exciting. So for our first, I'm kind of laughing a little bit, for our first book club book review, it is going to be Agatha Christie's Halloween Party, which is the inspiration of the motion picture Haunting in Venice. Now, okay, it's the new year, it's January. Why am I doing an October Halloween book? It's because I read this book in October, and I read it for Halloween, because as a lot of you probably know already, I batch make a bunch of my videos, and I wanted to read this during Halloween, but I didn't have the time to make a video and post it during Halloween, so we're just going to talk about it now. And what better way to get started with it than reading the back of the book blurb. It's the new year and I'm already fumbling over my words. This is a great start. I love it. Alright. At a Halloween party, Joyce, a hostile 13-year-old, boasts that she once witnessed a murder. When no one believes her, she storms off home. But within hours, her body is found still in the house, drowned in an apple-bobbing tub. That night, Hercule Poirot is called in to find the evil presence. But first, he must establish whether he is looking for a murderer or a double murder. Agatha Christie needs to create an exceptional detective to outthink every reader, and Hercule Poirot is the result. From Peter Lovesey, Anthony Award-winning author of Stage Struck. I accidentally just started reading that at the bottom. But yes, it is a fun little Halloween murder, and I have my little notes right in front of me. The page is blue. Oh wow, I forgot I had a back and a front for this. So, we have Hercule Poirot, he is the main detective. We have Miss Oliver, his friend and also an author who loves to write murder mysteries as well. We have Rowena Drake, the hostess. We have Joyce Reynolds, the victim, who is also a 13-year-old little girl. Breaks my heart every time. Superintendent Smith, a friend and the superintendent of like the police, I believe is what it was. Miss Llewellyn Smith. She is an old rich lady who has passed in the book. Olga Semenoff, an au pair girl to Llewellyn. Au pair girl is basically she was the caretaker. Leslie Fier, that's how I'm deciding to say it, or Ferrier. I'm gonna say Fier. A forgerer, a lawyer, and he is also dead. Miranda, best friend to Joyce. Michael Garfield, a landscaper. He is also very pretty, according to Mr. Hercule Poirot. As a reminder, before getting to the plot and setting of the story, I am going to spoil it. I will tell you who the murderer is, why, what, where, how, all that kind of stuff. So this is your only spoil, I guess. I don't know, I might make another spoil, but yeah. Into the plot of Agatha Christie's Halloween Party. This was a really fun, easy read. I read this within a few days. I really enjoyed it, but let's get into it. So it starts off with a Halloween party. Miss Drake is the hostess of the party. All the kids are there, and because I forgot her name, Miss Oliver, I want to keep saying Olivia. Miss Oliver is there. She's a very famous murder author, and she's just helping out. She's visiting for a little bit to see her friends, and Joyce is like, oh, she's really famous, she's really cool, and she starts boasting about a murder she once saw, and all the kids are like, well, how come you didn't go to the police? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And she's like, well, I was so young, I didn't realize what I saw was in fact a murder. Like, I was just too young to understand. And all the kids are having fun at the party, and the party goes on, and after all the kids leave and they rush off, they go home, they're cleaning up, and they go into the library where there was a bucket of like water full of apples to go apple bobbing. Technically it's like a really large tub, and that's where I believe Miss Oliver finds, yeah, it was Miss Oliver. I'm like trying to remember like who was it that found her. I'm pretty sure it was Miss Oliver at this point, but somebody found her. It wasn't Miss Oliver. I had to like double check real quick. I was like, because I didn't write it down in my notes. I'm only like just writing down like the major plot points and that were to me. So Miss Oliver calls up Detective Poirot, and she's asking him for help. She's asking him to come down to figure this out because it really rattled her and all this stuff. And he just kind of like, I have to? I don't really want to. He's just kind of like humming and hawing about it at first, but he does end up going, and he ends up staying with Superintendent Smith, and he stays in his house with his sister, I believe, and he's asking him, like, do you know anything about this? Do you know anything about the girl who was murdered? Like, anything at all? And so he goes around the town asking people about it, and that's when he learns that Joyce liked to lie a lot, and no one really believes the whole, like, boasting about a murder. Like, everyone's like, oh, she always lies about everything. She didn't really see a murder. And they use, like, this trip to Africa once to kind of use that as proof. She's like, she talked all about going to Africa, but she never went to Africa, and she was lying how she saw this, this, and this, but it was actually someone who told her all about it, kind of thing. So everyone's like, she most likely lied about about not being murdered, lied about seeing the murder. But, you know, Hercule Poirot, he's just kind of like, we'll see, like, you know, there's always a chance that maybe she was telling the truth. So as he's, like, going around trying to figure out, you know, the character of Joyce, and asking people, like, well, who was there at the party, who adult was there, kind of thing, like, do you remember anything? Like, he's talking to, like, the prominent people who were there. But while he's doing that, he's also asking, like, oh, has there been any other, like, unsuspecting kills, like, that's been happening around town, probably around the time that Joyce would have seen the murder, in a sense. Because he's just kind of like, well, if she was a young kid and she didn't realize it, she was 13, it would have been maybe about this time long ago. And we actually do get a couple of murders that pop up. I'm not going to try and remember them because I wrote them down. So one was a teacher died on the walk from school, like on a path, somewhere that a child would have easily seen happen. 2, a lawyer stabbed in the back. It was like in an alleyway or on the street, just really quick, dirty, late at night, you know. Why would a child see that? The sudden passing of a wealthy widow. Just, even the doctor was like, there was no foul play. Like, it was just seemed to be natural passing. She had a heart condition. Like, there's no reason why there would be any foul play anywhere. It's just something that happens to old women who have a heart condition. They tend to die, kind of thing. So, a lot of people are just kind of looking at them like, what are you doing? So, and 4th, the disappearance of an au pair girl. So, as I already said with the characters, that would be Olga Semenov, who was the au pair girl to Miss Llewellyn Smith. Llewellyn, I believe I said that right. So yeah, those are the murders that have happened, and I kind of use murder quotations because at the time of the book, no one knows what happened to the au pair girl. They just figured she just up and left because she was a foreigner and went back to her hometown. Anyway, alright, for my next 2 little points, I'm actually going to pick up my notes because I'm not going to act like I'm not reading from them. Because if I just kind of tried to word vomit everything I was talking about from the book, we would be here for hours. Anyway, the next 2 points is that Hercule Poirot is going around town. He's asking all the people who were there at the house, you know, what do you think? What do you remember? What did you see? He's just asking the same question over and over again. But right now he's trying to get on a path, which is through like a very beautiful garden place, getting to a certain house to talk to a few people there, because the daughter that lives in that house was friends with Joyce. So he's walking down, and this is where he meets Michael Garfield, which even Hercule Poirot was like, he's a very pretty man. Like, I can't help but stop and stare and notice how pretty this man really is. And Hercule's like kind of like thrown off. He's like, hold on a second. This man's pretty. He's gorgeous. He's a gorgeous man. Interesting. He's like suspicious of him being pretty, which I thought was really funny. But he's going through the path and he runs into Miranda Butler, Mrs. Butler's daughter. And she was in a tree just kind of talking at Hercule Poirot because she was like, hey, Poirot. And he looks up and she's like, hi. So she comes down and she says that she likes to sit in trees and she likes to just watch people go by. She's kind of a bit of an odd child like that. And in my notes, I put in parentheses, foreshadowing. But this isn't the foreshadowing that I noticed while reading the book. That's the next one, when he goes to the butler's house and he's asking, you know, Judith Butler's like, you know, what's been going on? What do you think? What did you think of the child? And this and that and everything. And Judith, who is Miranda's mom, is just kind of like, oh, she was, you know, Miranda's best friend. I'm worried about her, this and that. And Miranda, the daughter, tells Hercule Poirot that her and Joyce were best friends. They told each other secrets all the time. And the moment I read that line where she confirmed, like, oh yeah, we told each other secrets all the time. She was the only person I could tell secrets to. And in my notes, again, I put down foreshadowing in parentheses. That's when I clocked it that, oh, Miranda saw the murder, not Joyce. Because we already kind of got that Joyce likes to take other people's stories and tell it as her own. And so, I don't know, I feel like that was the point where I just kind of went, oh, it was actually Miranda who saw it, not Joyce, but Joyce was just being boastful, so whoever heard her at the party probably thinks that they saw the first original murder, so now, what was the first original murder? And kind of working through, like, a backwards logic through that, which I believe is what Hercule Poirot was doing, but while I was reading this book, my brain clicked, like, oh, it was Miranda and not Joyce that saw the murder, but that's all I did with it, like, that's quite literally the only thing that I was able to click in my head, just going like, oh, okay, yeah, that is what makes sense. Like, it was such a blatant foreshadowing, at least for me, that, I don't know, I was really proud of it, and I was with my grandpa at the time that I was reading the book, and we were in a car, and I'm reading the book, and I just put the book down, and my grandpa was driving, I just go, if what I think is true is happening, and I just got confirmed of what I was thinking before, I got a pretty good feeling about this book, and he knows I was reading this book. The reason why I was reading this book is to watch A Haunting in Venice for Halloween. That's why I was reading it, because I wanted to read the book before watching the movie. And even after I read the book, my grandpa, love him to death, he showed me the Poirot series, and I loved that as well, so I got a new favorite thing going on, but yeah, I was very proud of myself for seeing that bit of foreshadowing, but it was only that bit of foreshadowing of, like, she shares secrets with, Joyce. That was the only bit of foreshadowing I actually connected. Everything else just went right over my head, but I feel like that was the point where I was like, yes, I am leveling up with reading murder mysteries. It felt good. Anyway, so after that, there's this whole convoluted, like, story, like, this is important to the plot of the book. This is important to the book. But there's this whole convoluted plot where Miss Llewellyn Smith, she died, and she had the au pair girl, the caretaker, and she had a will that left everything to the au pair girl instead of her niece, which was Mrs. Drake. Technically her niece-in-law, because Miss Drake was married to Mr. Drake, which was Miss Llewellyn Smith's actual nephew. It's a whole family dynamic thing. So there's this whole thing where Miss Llewellyn Smith left a will that said everything goes to the au pair girl. But everyone was like, oh, the au pair girl forged the note. And it was very common that the au pair girl would write in Miss Llewellyn Smith's handwriting a lot for notes and letters and a bunch of stuff like that. But when the will got turned into, like, the lawyers and the police and stuff, they looked at it and they go, wow, this is a really terrible forgery. Obviously, she's not getting any of the money, and it's going straight to Miss Drake, because that's her only other living relative at the time. And with all this, it's kind of like a back and forth of, like, okay, well, is this actually, like, where's the real will then? Because the real will is gone. Like, no one knows where the real will went. We only have the forgery will. Oh my god. Where was I? I was talking about the will. So the forgery will is obviously a forgery. And they're trying to find out, Hercule Poirot, he's trying to find out where the actual will went. So he's asking, the other caretakers that would have been there at the time. He's trying to figure out, like, where the au pair girl went and why there is this whole, like, fake will scenario. Like, was it possible that Miss Llewellyn Smith was killed? Could that have been the murder that Joyce or Miranda saw? All that kind of stuff. And what we end up finding out is that the will itself, there was a real will. They end up finding it, and the will does say that everything goes to the au pair girl, and it was an actual signed witness proper will that was going to be turned in, But then the lawyer, like the one that got stabbed in the back, that would be Leslie Farrer. He used to be a forger, and that's how he got in trouble with the law. And he became a lawyer, but then he was hired to forge a really badly forged will and turned that in instead. And this all, like, kind of plays in where it's like, okay, like, this will was forged and this was forged, but who would do this kind of thing? And it's just this whole big roundabout of trying to figure out this whole kind of like subsection of the mystery within the mystery itself. And I'm not gonna lie, I did get a little confused during some parts because I'm like, wait, is this important to the main mystery? Like, wait, how is this happening? Because I'm trying to pay attention to like 2 to 3 mysteries at once kind of thing, because now we suddenly got the mystery of the forged will, then we have like the mystery of like all these other people who died, and then who killed Joyce. And it was a lot. But it was taking me a second to kind of like, all right, this goes here. Like, I was trying to like figure it out in my brain, and it just wasn't working. But yeah, so the whole point of the forgery of like the will is that it's supposed to look like a really bad forgery in order to get the au pair girl out of the will, which at the time in the book, Hercule Poirot was like, I don't know why this would be a thing, but while this is all happening, Miss Drake, not Miss Drake, well, yes, Miss Drake in a second. We find out that Joyce's younger brother, which I didn't name him in the characters because he's only really mentioned like once or twice, like when Hercule Poirot goes to talk to the family and stuff, like they all say the same thing, that she was a loudmouth, she was just boastful, she didn't really care, like she just lied all the time and wanted attention. But her brother especially did not seem empathetic towards her death. And her brother, who was also well known as an eavesdropper, was killed. And so Mrs. Drake then comes to Hercule Poirot, and she's like crying and tearful, and she's like, I'm so sorry, I should have told you at first, but I didn't want to believe it, and this and that. She goes, because with Miss Drake, she dropped a vase at the party and stuff because something might have startled her. And she dropped a vase full of like water and flowers and stuff, and she was like so startled and whatever. So she goes to Hercule Poirot and she goes, I lied to you, like I got startled, like, because I saw Joyce's brother come out from the library door, which is where Joyce's body was then found. Like, I don't want to believe that he murdered her, but maybe if I did tell you, then we could have figured this all out. And she's just so tearful and remorseful of it. And that's when we get that Hercule Poirot realizes, like, a little bit after that realizes that Miranda was the one that saw the murder, not Joyce. So he kind of figures this all out through the bits and clues, and he tells Miss Butler, Miranda's mom, to take Miranda and go, because he figures out that Joyce must have stolen the story from Miranda, and he tells him, just get out. I'm actually starting to get a little freaked out now. I keep hearing noises. This is like right after I closed my door too, like, oh my god. I lost my train of thought because of that. So how Hercule Poirot figures this out is that when he was walking on the path again, he runs into Michael, and Michael really seems to have taken a liking towards Miranda, and he's just very, calm and sweet about her, and he talks about, wanting to leave and go do this, and Miranda was asking about a wishing well that's within the forest that he was, like, kind of working on the side of a property, and just kind of talking about that. And how he figures it out is that the wishing well is the only place that he hasn't really, that hasn't really ever been checked for anything, but it does exist, kind of thing. And that's when he kind of figures out, like, okay, Miranda likes to hide in trees. She probably saw what happened to the girl and who did it, and that's probably where they hid the body. If I figured it out, then whoever killed the person that Miranda saw would probably also figure it out. And so he tells Miss Butler, Judith Butler, her mom, to take her and leave for London, but she actually gets stopped by Michael and is taken to this really beautiful place, and he starts talking about sacrifice and all this stuff, but thankfully Hercule Poirot gets the help of a bunch of teenage boys to stop it, and it kind of gets all explained that Miranda likes to hide in trees, and so what she ended up seeing was Michael Garfield and Miss Drake, who are the killers, take the au pair girl and throw her in the well. but because Miranda was so young, she didn't fully realize what she saw. And the reason why they killed the au pair girl is to get the fortune of Miss Llewellyn Smith. And normally the fortune would have been split up between like the workers, the au pair girl, and Miss Llewellyn and Mrs. Drake, Rowena Drake. But Rowena Drake had an affair with Michael Garfield even before her husband died, and Miss Llewellyn Smith found out about it. So she was like, nope, everything's going to the au pair girl now. So they had Leslie Farrer, they paid him to forge the will into a fake to make sure that the au pair girl doesn't get anything. So that way it all goes to Miss Llewellyn, to Miss Rowena Drake, not Llewellyn Smith. Oh my goodness. And they then killed Leslie Farrer in order to keep him silent, and so he wouldn't try to blackmail them or anything like that. And they saw the au pair girl get thrown into the well as a hiding hole. And when Miss Drake, who was the hostess of the Halloween party, heard Joyce boast about it, she got really scared that Joyce did in fact see who it was, and held her head like in the bobbing bin to drown her. It's like the whole story is like so big, and there's like a lot of little details that I'm missing. So so the whole story, I have been like kind of missing details here and there, but I'm just trying to get through the plot of everything. And I was actually really like, oh my god, I didn't see that coming kind of thing. Like, I'm sure if I actually put in more than 2% of brain power into the story, I could have probably figured it out. But it was a really good story, and we'll get into my personal thoughts, but one small detail that I didn't really talk about that I kind of wish I did is that Judith Butler, she had, like, she told Hercule Poirot that Miranda's father was a pilot who died, but it's actually revealed that she slept with Michael Garfield a long time ago, and that's how she got Miranda. And so she made up the whole pilot story because, you know, it wasn't a good thing to sleep with someone before you got married. And she didn't realize, too, that she was going to be, like, in the same town as him later in life. But he doesn't really seem to be bothering them as much, or even see, like she's over here like, oh, he doesn't really seem to notice or anything like that. But Hercule Poirot was like, well, he seems to take special interest in Miranda. I think he suspects that she is, in fact, his daughter. But even any type of fatherly love, because he was such a narcissist, like, couldn't have saved her from his, like, narcissistic tendencies. Because the reason why Michael Garfield was having an affair with Rowena Drake is so that way he could get some of the fortune from her, and so that way he could buy his own Greek island and make his own perfect garden that reflects, like, himself and everything like that. Like, that's how big of a narcissist he was. But that was the plot of Halloween Party. I've thoroughly enjoyed this book. Like, this is definitely going to be a reread sometime in the future. Maybe I'll read it again during Halloween and discuss it, or maybe I'll get another Agatha Christie book and discuss it then, or who knows, maybe I'll just read it whenever I feel like. You know, because I feel like Halloween is every day for some people. Anyway, let's get into my personal thoughts. My personal thoughts on Halloween Party. So the reason why I got this book originally is that I've seen I can't think of the word. So the reason why I started reading, or why I wanted to read Halloween Party, was because I've seen Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and then when Haunting in Venice came out, the movies, I really wanted to read the book that it was based off of, because I loved those first two movies. I mean, I kind of loved Death on the Nile, but they did Book dirty. They did him dirty in that one. I was not very happy with that. But I really wanted to read the book that it was based off of, and just kind of like see how well they differentiate, because I've never really read Agatha Christie before. Black Coffee was my first introduction to it, and I liked that well enough, so I was like, hey, let me actually try reading a proper Agatha Christie book and see how well I like it, and I really enjoyed it. Can't say the same for Haunting in Venice, which is what God, I can't even say it's based off of this book. It took even here it says inspiration for major motion picture Haunting in Venice. Like, that's all this is. This book was an inspiration. It's not an actual, like, adaptation of the novel, which this is a whole different spiel. Is that that's why I read the book. I read the book to watch the movie, but I watched the movie and I didn't need to read the book to watch the movie because there is no, like, linkage to it. That's a completely different story. They just took some characters' names and some elements of the book and just went, ah, yes, there you go. Like, I did not enjoy Haunting in Venice as an adaptation of Halloween Party, but I did enjoy it as a murder mystery. So, take that with what you will. But I did really enjoy the Poirot TV show's adaptation of Halloween Party, which is what my grandpa, that's what he wanted to show me originally. He saw I was reading this book, he went, when you're done with that, I'll show you the Poirot TV show Halloween Party version. And then we can watch A Haunting in Venice, and you can decide which one's your favorite. And hands down, the Poirot TV show, it's a better adaptation of this than Haunting in Venice. Haunting in Venice, if I think about it as an adaptation or anything like that, or it's like, oh, it's the same universe as this. No, it's not. It's not. And I don't want to get into, God, I already sound like I'm going to have a freaking crash out about this, but I don't want to crash out about this. But, oh my. I love this book. It's perfect spooky vibes for Halloween. I'm starting to realize that murder mysteries are so much fun. I think it just might be because it's Agatha Christie, but who knows. I have a few other Agatha Christie books on my shelves, and I'm actually really excited to try those out, but I already have a list of books like a mile long that I need to read before anything else. I really liked it. It was so much fun. I highly recommend it. I give it 4 out of 5 stars because I did feel a little stupid reading it, and especially towards the end when I couldn't figure out why certain information was important, or I thought certain information was important, but it wasn't. And so, I don't know, 4 out of 5 stars, mostly because I felt stupid at the end after reading it, because it felt more of oh, that's a little bit, thinking back on it, I was okay, yeah, that was kind of a little bit more in my face, and I didn't pick up on that. But I was very happy when I picked up that it was Miranda and not Joyce who saw the murder. So I actually got ridiculously happy about that, as you probably saw in the video when I talked about it. But yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend it. My goodness. Read this book. Do not watch A Haunting in Venice. Just read this. This is all you need. I loved it so much, but thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, only if you're interested. And, whew, yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next chapter. Bye! I'm so pissed at Haunting in Venice. I am so fucking pissed about that, actually. God damn, I should have just watched the movie when it came out. Wasting my time, you know? But I'm glad I read the book.